I'm very grateful, and I can relate to hardship and I can relate to the beauty. But the only way I ever made it through all of this was the gratitude and the gratefulness. And it was really the people around me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Polaris Connection, your podcast that connects parents of autistic children with industry experts and proven results. I am your host, Brad Broyles, and I'm here with my grateful co-host, Nathan Palmer.
And I am just grateful to be here with you, Brad.
Well, if we had to write a definition of gratitude, you would fit it. You live that every day, and we're glad that you're here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
See, I appreciate your gratitude. Also here, we have the amazing Aaron Kazmarek, a.k.a. Mr. K, who is the Chief Operating Officer for Polaris Academy and Starlight Behavior Academy. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. This is an amazing opportunity. I really love being with this community.
Well, we love being with you. And also, Nathan, I would say that Mr. K also fits the definition of gratitude. I am grateful for Mr. K.
Hands down. Honestly, and I can say that with all sincerity, Brad, had he not decided to come on that journey with us, I'm not sure where we would be today. So
and either we're really good at negotiating or he saw some awesome opportunities, right?
I saw awesome opportunities for sure.
Well, and to our listeners and to our folks, this is a special edition of the Polaris Connection. Nathan, why is it so special?
You know, Brad, it's November, and that's a season of Thanksgiving. And so we just wanted to have a little bit of a reflection on gratefulness. And you know what? I appreciate that you made that recommendation, because as a parent with a child on the spectrum, that's not always the word that comes to mind when we think of the autism journey. And I'm kind of excited about diving into that topic today. Yeah,
me too. You know, it is a spirit of gratitude. I love November. This is the time that we can reflect of all the great things that we've either done this year or done the last few years. What are we grateful for? Aaron, we love that you're here. When we talk about gratitude, what's the first thing that comes up to your mind?
Just the school, the community, the morning drop-off. Anybody that knows me, I have that loud shirt, but just seeing the families get out of the car, seeing the kids, knowing every one of their individual needs. And I'm just grateful to see them every morning and see them off. Whether it's Starlight, whether it's Polaris, just the family connection that we have at Polaris is just something to truly be grateful for.
You know, I would agree. You know, it's so neat to see the light in the eyes of the families and the kids that come to our academy every day, and also now with Starlight Academy.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Our first year open, 2025, 2024. What year are we in? 2024. Man, it's all going so fast.
Well, we're in 2025, but that was...
I can't keep track of time, but I remember literally our first day, the mood of the room, if you could measure it, was just tension. We were a little anxious. We weren't sure what to expect. You know, there was a lot of learning that went on. And fast forward to now our second year open, I remember standing in our front office and looking at our staff, and they were all just excited. Like, they just could not wait for the students to start filing through the door. It was a completely different air. And that's the shift, right? It's being grateful for the opportunity to be there versus that fear of the unknown, right? Like the two kind of compete with each other.
Well, I have the best job because I get to go to both Polaris and Starlight, the clinic and the academy, and I get to know all the families, all the kids, all the teachers, all the therapists. And it's great to see them just smile and say, "Where's Mr. K today?" Or, "How come you're not here?" And then watching the teachers engage with these kids. The most proud thing that I've ever done in my career is to really see these students, how they socially interact with one another. It's just numbing to see how they understand one another, they appreciate one another, and they're truly empathetic, but then they're also pushing each other to be excellent at what they do. Whether we're talking about a 4-year-old or I'm talking about a 15-year-old, you see that true compassion and relatability of our kids having with one another.
Well, can you share a moment of recently that you saw gratitude implement at Polaris Academy?
Gratitude. Well, I see it every day with the kids. We have a student that is going through some treatment right now, and today was Wednesday, and we wear his shirt. And the mom emailed me last night and was incredibly grateful that her child, even though he's in treatment right now, didn't want to miss school, despite going through chemotherapy and all these other really difficult, challenging things. it was more important for him to be there, and he just wanted pictures of his classmates wearing his shirt. Her gratitude and her grandparent sharing that with me just really shows you that we're beyond just a school.
That is neat. I'm so grateful that you shared. Yeah, we do live in a community, and it's neat to see these communities come together during good times and also during hard times. Nathan, what of some gratitude that you've been seeing at Polaris Academy lately?
Mine are funny, and I think they tend to catch the staff off guard sometimes. I'll share two. I remember one day I went in and. I don't have any experience in school, and I think this is maybe why I look at things a little bit differently. But I remember the admin just saying, "Hey, we've got some problems today. Like, there's this clique of girls, and they've been kind of mean, like a mean girls group, right?" And they were all concerned about how to address it, and I'm just smiling. And they looked at me like, "What are you so happy about?" And I was like, "Because we have a clique."
True story.
We have girls that are getting along, and they're in a group, and I'm like, each one of them was probably that outcast kid at their last school, right? And so in a way, a lot of these students, they're a little juvenile in their social skills. And I was just so happy that we had this clique. Yeah, okay, we'll work with the mean thing, right? But they get along.
Well, it's awesome to see the boyfriend-girlfriend things. I know parents don't want to hear that, but to see that social integration, that comfort that they feel with saying that I like you.
Yeah.
And it's just really magical to see our kids trusting one another. And sometimes when they don't like them, and they're learning how to self-advocate and really communicate their feelings. And another gratitude thing is a young man this morning said hello to me, and it's been a year and a half, and he is somebody that is very, very quiet. He talks to other people, and he just walked by me and said hello. And it was so simple, but yet so beautiful, because it was a year and a half that we took to get to that point of comfort.
That's
so
awesome.
It was really special.
Well, that is special. It's these little tender moments that you see. I was just with a parent a few days ago, and she was telling me a funny story. So this is more of a Starlight, the clinic that we have. And I guess her child went back home, and he would do all the one-on-one RBT, BCBA training that he learned for that day, as if he was the clinician. And so he would get with his parents or his siblings, and he would say, "Okay, here's our one-on-one for today. Okay, here's our circle time. This is what we're going to learn." And it was like he was the instructor, which was like awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's the side thing, right? Seeing their growth. Like, I am so grateful for the impact. And you start this with an idea of thinking we can do some good. The second experience I was going to share was an extracurricular activity that my son was at, and he's usually nervous when there's a lot of people. And I was getting ready to do my thing. I could see the anxiety building. I know the things that he likes to kind of calm down. And before I could do it, one of his classmates recognized it and said, "It's okay, Nate. I feel that way too." And that co-regulation with a peer worked 10 times better than anything I would have tried to do as a dad. So I'm just grateful for the unexpected wins.
Well, I'm grateful for little Nathan. He started my journey. I met him at 5 at Los Andes, and it was amazing. And he was always that kid that stood right by me. But today at parent pickup, you should have seen him out there, Nathan. He was waving cars down, telling parents, calling kids to the car. I mean, he just jumped right in. He went from this child that would just sit there and just kind of look around and tell you every car color and picture. But today he was engaging with the families, cool. Engaging with the kids. And it was just truly an amazing thing to watch him today.
Yeah.
It's cool to see their growth, their development, and where they see, like, who they become today, and watch that gratitude spirit come out in their life. Let me ask you this, Aaron, can you share a moment recently that you felt deeply grateful for?
Well, on a personal one, it's very emotional. My granddaughter was diagnosed with sarcoma cancer literally 10 months ago. And we just had a CAT scan, and it came back and it was cancer-free. So, working with families in difficulty, and I'm welling up right now, but to have that news for our family was truly, truly a blessing. And I'm truly grateful for that.
That is awesome.
Community, yeah.
Congratulations. That is... we all those who know Mr. K, we know that in your family you kind of going through some hardships with your granddaughter, and what amazing news.
Yeah. I still remember the day you walked in. You looked off. I asked, "Is everything okay?" You said, "No, it's not." And you had literally just found out that day. And amongst all the other hardships, right, starting a new school, all the other things in your personal life, it's like, when do the hits stop coming? But
right, because you found out right when we just started.
Yeah, we're fresh in.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
A new adventure. But so I'm very grateful, and I can relate to hardship and I can relate to the beauty. But the only way I ever made it through all of this was the gratitude and the gratefulness. And it was really the people around me. It literally was my Polaris community. And it was my Lucendas, my former family in Mace Public Schools. It just really, when you see people that when you do good and you're grateful and you have a positive outlook, people really surround you. And I was just very blessed in that aspect.
I think there's almost two sides of gratitude. There's the internal side where we can go internally, I'm grateful for something. Then there's the external where I'm expressing gratitude. And I remember there was I'm not going to cite it because I'm not an academic, and there's probably been numerous studies on, linking happiness and gratitude. But the more and more I thought about that, where, those things are connected, it's because if you're grateful, by default, you are recognizing a good, or you are highlighting something that's noteworthy in another person or just in your life. And there's no way you can exclude happiness from that sentiment, right? And so it almost becomes a journey of, what am I grateful for? And in looking for the gratitude, you find your joy.
Well, but then how do you build that gratitude during moments of trial, heartache, when things aren't going your way? How do you find that gratitude?
I think that's the key word, find. It's intentional. It's something you have to choose to do. And it's very easy to wallow in the why me, right? I say that with all sincerity, and I don't mean that to belittle anybody who's gone through it, because it is real. There is legitimate hardship in the struggle of autism. And I'm not going to just exclude autism. And, I'm glad I have my problems and not Mr. K's or yours, or, we all have our struggle. I think it's an intentional effort to look through it and find things you're grateful for. And if you find them, they are attached to sources of joy.
Right. Like I heard one time that if you have a hard time just finding gratitude in your life because it might be chaotic, a lot of things might not be going your way, just be grateful that you can even think about how to be grateful. You know what I mean? Even if it's that small, and because your life is so upside down, at least I have the ability to think what I'm grateful for and even start there.
Yeah. And I'll go real simple. Like, I'm grateful for today I can sit here in this chair and do the podcast because I had back surgery recently.
Right. You just had a major surgery.
I did. And, I was prepped for, it would take me a while to recover. I wasn't quite prepped for the things I couldn't do, like no lifting something over 5 pounds. And when you think about that, that's a lot of things I can't lift, not raising my arms over my head, not being able to sit upright in a day for more than an hour at a time. I mean, not being able to take steps without pain. It's been really simple things. I'm happy and grateful I can just go for a walk at night and not hurt, and so there's these things I think that happen in life that at first are trials. But the lining of them is they make us appreciate the things before that we were maybe taking for granted.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I always remember that. Well, and we were kind of telling Nathan, like, over the last few weeks, Nathan, you've kind of been out a little bit, right? You've been at home recuperating on some medication, and I almost like you better on medication than without medication.
I still have some left over. Maybe we'll save it for those special days.
But what about you, Aaron? Like, what do you do to try to have a grateful heart, to live in more of a spirit of gratitude?
Well, it really is just being around people. I'm a very social person. I love being in the halls. I love walking up and down. I love having conversations. I just love stories. I love music by the nature because it tells a story. But even this morning, I had Miss Lacey tell me a story about a pigeon that my grandson found and gave it to her. And she was talking about how they're so grateful for this pigeon that is now become into their family, and they basically call it a soap opera because the bird squawks every time that they're not in it. And so every day I have stories, and I know I'm long-winded. If you've ever met me, it's kind of hard to get me to stop talking, but it's just those experiences and that opportunity. So I get really gratitude from the people I'm surrounded with, the teachers, the families, the kids. So yeah, I just being around everybody.
Well, and one thing I knew that we were going to have this episode about gratitude. And I just want to share something with you, if this is okay. So I went online, I did the social media stuff, and I went and posted a few things of like, what are you grateful for in the month of November in these different autistic support groups? And you know what's been really neat? There was a lot of great responses, and I just wanted to read one really fast. I won't mention their name, but I really like this, and I think we get this with our autistic friends. It was a gentleman that replied back, and he said that he was so grateful for the love and affection of his daughter, meaning that when she loves you, she doesn't love you. She loves you. So like when she does things, she really does that. And like you can feel it from her soul. So now I'm going to stop paraphrasing, but I've noticed that with autistic children, like they don't hold anything back.
No.
They give you everything, like everything that they want. And I love that.
Almost unfiltered.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, our students are very literal, which I love at our campus because there's never any guessing how they're feeling at that moment. And the beauty is that we are able to meet them where they're at. Mm-hmm. And then we can take them. And there really is very little judgment, and it's really about growth. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of my segment. How has autism shaped the way that you see gratitude in everyday life?
I can answer that as a parent. I think a lot of our listening audience, they're parents, going through this journey with a child. I can tell you without hesitation, autism has made me a better parent, a better dad. It's made me intentional.
You're going to have to explain that.
Yeah.
Some people are like, because of this, darn it, now I'm going to have a rough time. How has it made you a better father?
So in unexpected ways, and it's probably going to be different for every parent because honestly, no two autistic kids are alike. But you have to be intentional on what you want to teach. My other boys, they're all as different as can be, but they all have something in common, and that's they just naturally learn from their environment. They grow, and I could be involved or not, but in some way, shape, or form, they're kind of finding their way, and we guide them as parents, but it feels like not quite as involved. Mm-hmm. With my son on the spectrum, I have to be intentional about explaining social norms or finding meanings or the why we do something one way versus another. I mean, it's made me take a hard, intentional look at, have I taught my kids about what happiness is and when it's appropriate in social norms and responding and how to reflect, how to share gratitude, right? And what that looks like. And in the lessons, I find myself and my other boys, and I'm sure my wife would echo the exact same sentiment, we grow more in our ability to just recognize intentional teaching, intentional parenting, and being a more engaged dad. And regardless of what your kid looks like, autism invites the opportunity for you to be more engaged as a parent, and that's something to be grateful for.
That's powerful, Nathan. I don't know how you follow up with that. I was going to ask you next, Aaron, but I'm not sure you're going to follow up with that. But that's just when you were talking, Nathan, it made me think about, we had a few guests, Jeff Rawls, Sarah Miller, that talked about play, engaging, being with your children. Like, it has taught me how to be a better father, even from the simplistic way of how to play with my child.
Well, listen, and I'm going to pull back on it, and maybe you've probably realized it, Aaron, but like in your experience with your granddaughter, I have to imagine that made you more intentional as a dad, and how do I support my son? More intentional as a grandfather, how can I be there for my granddaughter in ways that maybe you hadn't thought of before? I mean, does that track?
100%. I had to become very conscious of how I reacted to emotion. And so as something as simple as, speaking of gratitude, the other day, just after we found out that she had no more cancer, she had an absolute full-scale crisis because she did not want to come out of her pajamas. And Dad held her ground, and he was compassionate, and he was loving and firm. And then she kicked and screamed and hollered and swore. And we all looked at each other and we laughed, We said, thank God that she is able to be a child and just have these kind of crises in their life and move on to it. And it allowed us to reflect, whereas before it would be agitation. So we became very aware of our own emotional state so that we could address her at that point in time. Because a lot of the things I've learned from my BCBAs is I took a lot of those things personal. And as a parent, it's very hard when the behavior is bad. And I know as a parent, for me, it's out of fear of my child and what's going to happen. And so that's why the anger and the frustration came out from me. But now that I know that it's just patience and love and gratitude, how that really shapes that behavior quickly at Polaris. And I'm grateful to Rachel Krupe for showing me that way. She really showed me the growth of our kids and how I didn't take it so personal and just more forgiving and moving forward.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I just want to add to that is I'm very grateful with Polaris. When we first started this journey, when we started the school, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking about how do we help the kids? How do we help the kids? How do we help the kids? And kind of one of the, I guess the starting point of why we even started the podcast came from a conversation I had with a parent. And I was asking him, hey, how's the school going? Like, how are we doing? Like, what are we, how's yours? And he went on, he's like, I love the school, but what Polaris has taught me was how to be a better father. And that was kind of a byproduct that I guess I wasn't even thinking about before. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And so the more engaged I got, I'm like, yes, it's made me a better father. The more I study autism, the more I work with the children with autism, with all the guests that we have on here, how do we have parents become, in a way, better parents? And man, I'm so grateful for the lessons that we've learned, Nathan. This is what our 18th episode, that we had 19th episode. And man,
hopefully just, of many more to come. Mm-hmm. And I think, we had some weird looks from staff, I think, when we went through our culture and our purpose statement and our handbook, because we asked the question, who's our client? And the gut reaction is, well, it's the kids, it's the students. And we said, no, our client is the parent. Mm-hmm. And we deliver a product through their children, right? But they're the ones we're ultimately trying to reach out to and support. And that might have been selfish on my part, because autism felt like such a lonely journey. All these services are out there for the kids. And I will tell you, the parent struggle is as real, and the growth dynamic.
Sometimes even more.
Absolutely. And so having that resource and allowing that connection, right, which is why I love that it's named the Polaris Connection, has been a game changer for me personally. And so I'm grateful for the community. I'm grateful for the connections that we've made and continue to make.
Yeah, and we're just going to keep on getting bigger. One thing I was just going to ask you, Aaron, like, how do you keep fostering gratitude at Polaris Academy? Like, you're a great leader. How do you work with the teachers? Because we see from the kiddo side, and the parent side, but how do you work with the teachers and staff to always have this spirit of gratitude?
I think humility, because when you say, how do I help them? It's really the flip. They help me every single day. I think you have to be humble, and you have to listen very well, and you have to look for those hidden nuggets. And when you start looking for greatness, you find it. When you start looking for problems, you find it as well. And so every day, the teachers and the kids, the RBTs, the clinicians, they teach me something. And so, I always talk about that. I retired one profession and I loved it. And now I get to start my second journey, and I'm just grateful to learn. I mean, I easily could have just done a little to nothing. And I have been growing so incredibly much in the past year and a half. Every time somebody sees me, they're like, how did you learn all this? I'm like, well, it was trial by fire. Oh. But listening to my parents, to my kids, to my therapist, really, that's how I do it. I wish I could say that, wow, I'm a great, but I'm not. It's just the people I've surrounded myself with. And the only thing I've done is humility, and I listen. Well,
speaking of listening, we have something special for our audience, Nathan. Do you know what we have?
You know what? I do know, but I'm excited for you to tell the group, because seriously, I can't wait to hear it again.
Well, what we did is we knew that we wanted to have a special episode about gratitude. So during an event at Polaris Academy, we went around with the mic to interview parents of what they're grateful for either about their child on the spectrum of what has autism taught them that they're grateful for. And so we interviewed about quite a bit of parents.
It was 2022. Yeah.
And I had Dallin around, our marketing director, and we were doing these interviews, and it was so hard not to be teary. And the funny thing is that we did it during our trunk or treat event. So you have people in Halloween outfits crying, giving these emotional testimonies that we didn't really want to bring in, but it just happened naturally about what they're grateful for. So folks, we would love to share these sound bites with you. So we're going to jump off the air for a second. We'll come back and circle back, but we wanted you to listen to these awesome sound bites of what our families are saying of what they're grateful for. Here you go.
So what am I thankful for when it comes to autism? I think about my kiddo, who, by the way, is amazing and has opened up my eyes to a world that is so unique, so special, and just her ability, and I'm not saying disability because it's not a disability, it's an ability that she has shown me. There's so many things that she can do that I can't do. It's almost like she has a special power. And I'm so impressed by how she has grown and matured into a teenager. And I am just so thankful that I get to experience my autistic child in the way that I do.
So we have a 6, almost 7-year-old son, and this is our 4th school. And it's the first time that we feel like we're showing up to meetings without fear or trepidation, and instead of feeling like we're coming in to advocate so hard and educate our educators and let them know what he needs. Just recently we had a meeting where we were trying to problem solve some stuff, work through some challenges, and we sat down at the table, and I'm literally shaking just from past experiences, and the team opens up, and our teacher, our wonderful Mrs. G, opens the conversation with like 10 things that she's already thought about strategy-wise of, well, I know this, and we're going to try this, and I've thought about this, and I thought that through, and I realized that probably wasn't going to work because we know your son so well, and that's going to, we're coming back around to the table. But they laid out, I came prepared to have to fight for him like we always do, and they showed up fighting for him. Yeah, I think that's been probably like one of the most impactful experiences or one of the most impactful differences. I feel still like I'm fighting the defenses, putting up my guard. Like I got to show up and you're going to tell me that my kid's not a good fit here. And it's the complete opposite. We show up ready to fight. And like I said, the team across the table from us is fighting for him as hard as we are. So, yeah.
Yeah, I moved here from California. We wanted a change for our son. We saw the direction that the state of California was going in. There was absolutely no opportunity for our son. We were looking at Arizona, and we thought Arizona was the best place for our son to grow in. We wanted him to be responsible. We wanted him to be a part of a community that was open for him. And we found Polaris. Polaris has been awesome to our son. So we are absolutely grateful for Polaris. Polaris has given him the opportunity to grow in a direction we feel that he would excel in life. I want him to grow and to be a gentleman, to be kind, to look out for other people. Polaris is that for him.
We are grateful for the amazing staff at Starlight, who's always there whenever we have questions or we need help. They are always so kind to Cole, and Cole has had amazing growth since making new friends at school.
Want to add anything?
And thankful for my wonderful son who's grown up and going to continue getting better at Starlight.
So one thing I'm grateful for, I'd say Starlight Academy and Polaris Academy, is just due to the fact that my daughter gets to go through and be herself, be around with people that are like her and share her characteristics of being in a social environment and feeling comfortable to be who she is without feeling any judgment or criticism, and honestly just being able to go through and have her flourish and let her personality grow without that being extinguished by others around her, and just seeing the support and love that she gets to be who she is, who she wants to be, and have people learn with her versus just her learning from others. She's moving in the right direction, and I couldn't be more thankful for having a school such as Polaris or Starlight step in and help my daughter with not only her education, but making sure that she's flourishing who she is as a person and not who we're trying to form her to be.
I am grateful for parents and educators who do the work to educate themselves and to create this community here. And I'm also grateful for music and the power that it can bring into each brain and each child.
I'm grateful for Polaris because at every public school that my son went to, he was abused, he was picked on, and he was given up on every step of the way. He was told in kindergarten to be put on medication and that she was done with him. He was bullied by many kids, and he didn't have a friend coming out of any of those schools. And the fact that he can come here and not only have a friend in the class, but with the staff also who believe in him, and even if they do something wrong or may treat someone not nicely, they talk it through with them, and they just love them with all their hearts and give them many chances. So we're very grateful to be here at Polaris.
So the most grateful I am for this school is it brought my son back. I was losing him, he was being bullied, and he hated school. I couldn't get him out of bed. Now every morning he's excited, he gets up, he makes his own lunch, he wants to know who's picking him up, who's dropping him off, every day.
Since Forrest has started coming to Polaris, we have seen massive growth in his social behavior, in his interaction with his family, and the way that he does his chores. Everything about Polaris has seemed to be wonderful for our son. He started off behind, and now he's made up 2 years in faster than we could have ever imagined. I've never met anybody that takes care of your children like these people do. I wish that when I was his age, I had the opportunity to come to a school like this. I'm so grateful for Polaris.
I'm grateful for Polaris Academy because the anxiety of my daughter going to school is gone. She's actually starting to learn the progress in reading and learning that she loves math and science, and she seems to have a affinity for all her teachers and the faculty at Polaris Academy. Thanks.
Our whole family is incredibly grateful for everybody at Polaris. Our daughter came in after being shuffled around at different public schools, always being bullied, always being told she's too much. And we crazily found this on Instagram, and I thought it was a joke. And then we came here and interviewed with Mr. Palmer, and it was just like a dream come true. And our daughter, in less than a year, has behaviorally and emotionally just thrived, and I just can't even help myself anymore because it's just so much. It's so great.
One of the biggest things that Polaris Academy has helped with my son Hunter has been bringing back his love of school. Before Polaris Academy, he was regretting school, not wanting to go, having a very tough time, and we have heard none of that this year so far. He has really come out of his shell. He enjoys school, enjoys going to school, enjoys being with his friends, trying new things, and Polaris Academy has been a great advocate in that journey with him.
I'm grateful for the ability to drop my son off to school and know that he's met with loving and caring adults at the curb every morning.
We love Starlight because it allows Ryan to be raw and authentically himself. We came from a charter school where that was not possible, and he has just done nothing but flourish. And we don't have meltdowns going to school. He doesn't dread going to school. He absolutely loves going, and he has just made so much progress in his behaviors, his academics, his schoolwork's being completed. It's just been absolutely amazing for him.
Okay, this is my son's 10th year of schooling. He's in 7th grade, and this is the first year of school that he's actually enjoyed going to. Said he's had teachers that actually, I guess, are good teachers that actually teaches him something. Last years I've been in 2 different public school districts, so we're looking forward to keeping him here for the rest of his schooling.
I am extremely grateful for this school. I have never worked with children in my life, and I jumped right in to this amazing group of these kids who are on the spectrum, and they have taught me so much about patience and understanding who you are and what they want to be and embracing the flaws instead of trying to perfect them. So working at this school has just been the most incredible experience. I love all of my kids, even the kids I don't teach with. They're all just incredible in their own way, and I'm so grateful for this school and all it's done for these families to be happy.
You know, I think I could go back and listen to those again and again and again. If nothing else, folks, I hope that provided some seeds to plant on areas to look for gratitude this season. I think of the biblical adage, seek and you shall find. And what that's really saying is you find what you look for. And so if you're looking for joy, you'll find it in gratitude. And if you pick any of the directions, just as a starter on this episode, I think at the end of that road, you're going to find joy in your life and fulfillment in a way that maybe you didn't have before.
Well, and that's well put, Nathan. Like, I didn't know that these little gratitude segments were so heavy. Like, they were powerful and emotional, and there's a lot of heart and feeling. When we first planned out this episode, I was thinking about joyful and excitement, but it turned out to be this just like from the bottom of their hearts of what they're grateful for. Isn't that awesome?
And the best is, it was raw and scripted, right? They weren't prepped. It wasn't like, well, give me 10 minutes and maybe I'll come back because I'm not sure. It was there and it was present.
It was funny because Dallin ran around. So we would find these families like, hey, do you want to tell us what you're grateful for? Here's a mic, go. and folks, you heard what was said, and that's authentic and pure. Aren't we around this wonderful group of people? I love it. Great, amazing people. So, Aaron, what are your final thoughts of gratitude and this Thanksgiving season that come to your mind?
Well, it's just really about family and being together and coming together. I think that's what it's about. And I'm grateful that Brad assigned me to parking lot duty as he was getting all the gratitude. And I now, with Crystal and Mark and my wife, can manage a SeaWorld parking lot like nobody's business.
It was awesome to see you go.
So I am grateful for becoming a parking lot attendant and parking hundreds of cars in that lot. But it was truly, I was grateful for that evening, seeing that many families there.
Yeah, it was pretty packed.
And what a great problem to have that there's not space to receive them all. I mean, I love it.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point. But no, Aaron, I'm really grateful for you and all the wonderful things you've taught me, lessons I've learned from you, even your silly T-shirts that you like to wear for our staff. And
back
kids.
at you, Brad. Back at you, Brad and Nathan. And I'm just grateful for this whole journey that we've been on. We were all thrown into this together. And it's amazing what has just evolved naturally and organically. So thank you, Nathan, for being the think tank behind that, of believing all these individuals from a wide range of capacities. And you put us all together, trusting that it would work. and we all came from different aspects, and we never could have imagined this coming true without you, Nathan and Darcy. So
No,
I'm truly grateful for your vision.
The feeling is mutual, Brad, Aaron. Seriously, this is not something built on my shoulders. This is something we all pulled, and I couldn't have done it without you.
Well, likewise. Now we're going to have to give a big group hug after this. But before we do that, some fun Thanksgiving traditions you guys like to do in your families?
You know, we have 2 Thanksgivings. So everybody wonders, we didn't want to do like the 1 year on, 1 year off. And so my family, we just adopted the day after Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving's with my in-laws, and then the next day I do it all over again, but we do kind of like a breakfast Thanksgiving, and then still, it's just gourds of food. You know, it just is what it is. Christmas is a little more quirky. I grew up with thin crust Little Caesars pizza. That was our Christmas dinner. So I'd go to school hearing about Christmas hams, and I was like, we eat pizza, you know, but Thanksgiving, it's
Little Caesars pizza, man. It's not even DiGiorno.
No, but Thanksgiving is so good. We do it twice.
That's awesome. As Aaron's laughing, I'll tell you real quick. Our family traditions is food, football, and more football. So I'm excited to see all the great games on Thanksgiving and be with the family and eat as much. All it is mashed potatoes for me, gravy, turkey, and then Costco pumpkin pie, baby. Got to do Costco.
Ooh, I'm all about the ham and the prime rib. That's it.
There you go.
And ours is really just family, and more family. So it's a big gathering, about 50 of us, and we all come together, and we just decided to do one big one and blend all the families together, and that's what we do. So,
well, wonderful. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for being here today. Nathan, thank you so much for all you do. And thank you, everyone that's listening, and thank you for making us part of your day. Please don't forget to subscribe so you can never miss a conversation that will inspire connection. We also want to thank our wonderful producer, Jesse Palmer, and our marketing director, Dallin Davis, for all the hard work that they do. Until next time, let's go do some good. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.